All right. So let me start with as soon as you log into the workspace, this is how your home page will look like. The Apex home page will look like, and you have these components like application builder, SQL workshop, scheme development, and packaged application. Now, SQL workshop, you can see, where we've touched upon that in the last session. But it again has these 4 or 5 subcomponents within, like object browser, SQL scripts, utilities, and RESTful service. Now, if you look at object browser, what it does is it's almost like like mimicking the functionality of SQL developer. So what you can do using this is browse the tables, get to the definition. You can click on the table name, which is on the left-hand side, and see the definition of the table, get to the data model details, like, what are the different columns or data that it has. So like, for example, you can rename a column or drop a column. All these basic things what you do using SQL developer using command line. You can use it. You can use the GUI form. For example, if I click on the rename column, it is going to allow me to choose which column you want me to rename, and then I can provide the new name for that column. So things like that. It's pretty straightforward. SQL command is again another substitute for running SQL statements or DML statements. You can use that to quickly query the database. So if you're comfortable with SQL developer, you can continue using that. But if you are not having that software installed, this is a good substitute wherein everything can be everything is there in one place. Like, from the designing part to development of Apex screen can be done within the Apex UI itself. So in case you have some regular scripts that you would be using, you can also store that as part of the Apex repository here and run it on the need basis. So you can upload your from your desktop, file system. You can upload the script and run it, and it will also give you a log of the execution process. So this is kind of like a internal repository of frequently accessed scripts. You might want to maintain it here, and it also gives a neat way to check for errors and fix it then and there. So that's the SQL scripts component of workshop. Then you have this utility. In utilities, what you can do is, let's say you want to load a table with the data which is in the CSV format, or it is in the spreadsheet or XML format. You can use the data workshop feature and upload data into the particular table. Data from spreadsheet, you want to generate some test data, things like that, and load it into this one. You can do that. Generating DDL statements, out of existing objects in the schema. So, like create table or create trigger kind of statements that exist before the data model can be fetched using the generate DLL, and then later on you can save it as a .SQL file and keep that repository. And object reports is going to give a summary of the objects that exist within the database schema. In this case, test dev is the schema. So, say give me all the invalid objects. I want to query the invalid objects in the schema. It's listed out some of the invalid objects that exist within the schema. And further, it lets you drill down to the next level. By clicking on that, you can get to the next level detail about the objects and edit the object, fix the invalid component then and there. So pretty much, whatever that's possible using SQL Developer is also possible with SQL Workshop. It's got some neatly organized, components that lets you do it with a click of a button. Something very similar to what you have in your Toad or SQL Developer. Almost all the functionalities can be mapped here. And it also has something called as a recycle bin. Now, this particular thing lets you retrieve any, if you have accidentally deleted any table or dropped any table or procedure, it'll come and sit here and you can quickly glance through and restore it. So that's a pretty handy feature in case you happen to do that. And there is a schema comparison. So if you have more than one schema here and you want to use it for the purpose of keeping both the schema in sync, you can use the schema compare functionality to do that. So it's going to give a nice report on object level with a lot of details. Now, moving on to the application builder. So you can see that these are the 4 basic components that comes along with the application builder functionality. You can create application. You can import existing application. You want to see a dashboard of the application components. This dashboard will give you that information. And then you have something called the workspace utilities. So this is to manage the workspace that we have logged in currently. So in this case, my workspace happens to be test dev. So since I'm the administrator for this, I can use these utilities to, for example, create a new user or assign schema, things like that, using the workspace utilities option. And the below section here shows you the existing applications that is currently hosted in here. One is the sample application. So you have the user-defined name, user-friendly name here, along with an ID 79371 here. And then you also have a custom application reporting app with an ID. So these are the functionalities. Now, okay. So here you're given these options of what type of application we want to create, whether it's for the desktop, whether it's for the mobile, or is it going to be the web sheet. According to the type of application you choose, it will automatically set the theme. So that is why this step is required. I've clicked on desktop application, and it has defaulted the schema, and it has given a default application name. So reporting and forms, I'm just giving the application name, and it has generated an application ID. And like I said, since you chose the application type as desktop, it has automatically defaulted this universal theme, and theme style is Vita, which is fine. So it's going to have 4 or 5 different steps that we need to fill in here. So this is the second stage. Second stage is once you've created the application is going to have contents, and contents will be on a web page, right? Now you click on the add page, and here you choose what type of page you are trying to build. Are you building a reports page or a forms page, or chart? What is it that you're trying to build? So let's choose this, report and form. Okay. So here let's choose table name is department, classic, okay, normal. Add a report. You can edit form in the second page. Okay, so for the sake of that, I can now choose this one. Okay. So you can see that it is pretty much, declarative style of coding, where you're using the wizard functionality for creation of forms or reports, and by just choosing the table name or the view name, and sorry. Okay. So at the end of the process, it says that the page has been successfully added to the application. So if you want to continue adding pages, you can do that. Otherwise, you can move to the next step. Now let's move to the next step and see what you need to fill in. So it's asking whether there are any shared components, like global item, things like that. For the sake of consistency, if you are sharing the same item, then you can choose yes and then choose the application name and things like that. Otherwise, you can choose no, keep that as default, move on to the next stage. And yeah, so here we spoke about the authentication mechanism. So here we are using the application express account itself as a means to authenticate. So that is the default also. You can choose, if it is a multilingual environment, then you can choose options according to that. But otherwise, we are choosing the application primary language, which is English itself as the language of display here. You can also set the default date format, time format, all those things. We are leaving that blank and moving on to the next step. So this is the final confirmation stage. It's just giving you the summary of what we have done. It's giving you the application name, the application ID, and the name, which schema it belongs to or it's attached to, and what's the authentication scheme, and what are the themes that have been used, within the application. So once you are okay with this, you can click on the Create Application button, and it's going to Now you can see that it has acknowledged in the notification area here that application has been successfully created. This is your application ID and the name, and these are the pages, right? Page 1 is home page, 2 is employee report, this is employee edit form, and you have a default login form. Since you have chosen the authentication mechanism as Apex authentication, it's going to use that. So now let's see how the component looks like. I know since we have used the standard wizards to create it, let's see how it is arranged the components. So first the login screen appears. You just need to authenticate with having access to this particular application. So home page is the default page. If you choose to remove that, you can do that. If you want to retain it, you can have the content filled in. But emp is the page we have created using the wizard. Yeah. Now you can see here that it has created a report. You can use the standard functionality of querying the report. This is like you can query only for clerk, and it's going to display that. So things like that. And if you want to edit, since we created a form and a report, so this is the form, and whichever field is editable, it is going to be coming up. And date, it has already recognized the date field, and it has given the calendar pickup, LOV. Automatically, it has done that. So let's say I'm just changing the name. It has changed, and you can see the action has been processed, and it is reflected in the report section also. So, the other functionality that has come along with the thing is the spreadsheet. So if you want to, have this downloaded into an Excel spreadsheet format, you can do that also. This is going to be the standard for all the classic reports. Whenever you define a report, it is going to come by default. But if you don't want to give that option, you can go to the page definition and choose not to enable that. But by default, it comes. So you can see the data has been exported into a CSV format into an Excel sheet, and so you can have an offline copy of that and work with it. So going back to this, now this is just a simple functionality of creating a form and report. But what I want you guys to do is probably practice this particular functionality, and also try to see how you can use other functionality also. Like for example, you have chart, so it's going to be wizard based only again. So as soon as you create the page, It's going to ask you what type of page you want to create. Is it going to be a chart page, a report page, form page? And this time I've chosen chart, right? And so I've chosen this is going to be HTML5 chart, and is it going to be 2D, 3D chart? Yes, it's fine. 2D chart is fine with me. Let me try. So the one of the thing is, unlike in forms, right? Forms or ADF, for example, you have WYSIWYG, development environment. So what you are seeing in the design time is what you also get in the runtime, right? You pretty much are able to see that. But here, that WYSIWYG thing is a bit of a challenge in Apex environment. You get these kind of placeholders, which will not be very good if you're very used to forms kind of or ADF kind of development environment. So that's one of the drawbacks. You don't get to have that WYSIWYG functionality. Right. So you can create, for example, let me try that. Just hold on. So rather than creating a new page for chart, let's try and explore this one. So in the content body, right clicking and creating a region. Okay. So I have this. Now let me choose the type of chart here. The type of chart is going to be okay. This is chart. So let's go with the default, for example, time being. So let's say comma department number, comma code of star from M group by number. Okay. So it has validated the query. I'm just saving it. Let's try to run it. Okay, so within the same page itself, you've got the sub-region, which is the chart getting displayed here, right? So, this is of course possible, but if you want to, like for example, shrink the size of the chart, things like that. You can of course do that. Okay, but if you want to get into some good control, definitely knowledge on HTML is something that I would suggest you have. Otherwise, it's going to be little difficult to manage or organize the content because whatever is standard provided through Wizard is what you're going to use. But over and above that, if you want to control that, then you need to know a bit of HTML, CSS, cascading style sheet commands and things like that. But
okay,
that's something that you can.
I need one more help. 1 minute.
Yeah.
Here, if you see that this
Hey, your voice is.
My question here is. Sridhar, my question is, there is a tree structure navigator is there, no? Left side. What you click to come to see that one? Previously we didn't see this navigator, no? Earlier, afterwards it came.
So let me go back to the application. Okay. So if you go to the application home page, right? You will see the first level of definition, which is the pages, right? This is the home page for application, and once you click on the page, see this page is a hyperlink. You click on the page, okay? Then you get to the screen where we were in terms of knowing the definition of each of the components within the page. So that's how I got it here. It's a hyperlink.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I think that's what I wanted to cover in today's session. My suggestion is as you explore or as you practice, you will explore and get more conditioned to using the features of Apex. You might even get insights that you might want to share it with a larger group because whatever I'm covering is the fundamental of how to use Apex and the features and functionality of the basic stuff. But as you explore, I envisage that you will be becoming more expert in using the features and functionality to a greater extent, rather than just leveraging the standard classic reports or things like that, forms. So there are, like you can see, there are many different options here, and for each of these things, the underlying component is just a query. So, like when I chose the classic report, or if I go to an interactive report, it is again going to ask me what is the query you're going to fit in that. So I drag and drop again. Yeah. So the fundamental to this is the query itself, and not anything else. So please register yourself and practice this particular functionality, and explore other features also as and when you get time. And then we can probably conclude it in the next session.
Yeah, Sridhar, one more thing what I'm asking is, now you are done on page, am I correct? you have designed one page. Okay. Now this page in a database, how it is stored? Suppose you are doing the, assume you are doing this for some customer. Okay. Now you want to make that page to be controlled. So you have
deployed.
Yeah, that's what. No. Anyhow, it will be get deployed. What it is like a
kind of.
Not interface. And now see, now it is for our development session. Okay. Now it should be controlled for the user. Okay. If I design a page and I will give to some senior manager.
Right.
So that has to go to some path. Okay. That will be controlled by DA only. Yeah.
Got your point. See, the thing is, you have something called as the export functionality here. So let's assume this is your development environment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, your customer environment is different, and so you want to deploy this particular application or this particular page in the application in the customer environment. So you can choose to export it, and when you export, it is going to come in as part of a SQL file. So you can see F59903.sql. So this is the file that you can use to have your administrator there or your developer there to deploy it. Again, deployment is also quite a straightforward thing. Just like how you export it, you go back to the application menu and choose import. Choose import here. So when you choose import, it's going to ask, are you going to import the database application? Yes. Choose that and give that SQL file what you have stored in the data in the file system, and it is going to.
What is the extension of that file actually, which is the SQL file you told, no? Is it .SQL or what it is?
Yeah, it will be SQL. It's SQL. SQL only.
So whenever if you want to make a version control, no, always you have to make it .SQL as a checking checkout. That's all. That you have to import, then again do the development, then on top of it you have to export that. It will override the customer environment. Okay. Yeah.
Right. So other components also can be exported separately. Like for example, if you have some images stored in your application, let's say for example you want to just extract the images and import it. So that can also be done. And that's pretty much what I wanted to cover. See, apex.oracle.com is the hosted environment. You can do that.
Okay.
Or if you want to download, you can go to the the Oracle downloads page and then search for Apex. You have an option for the email. Any other questions or clarifications from anyone else? So, if there are no questions, we can wind up this session.
Thanks, Sridhar. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Sridhar.
Thanks, Sridhar.